Have you ever followed YouTube advice and nothing happened? Yeah, me too. And it turns out a lot of the advice out there for how to grow on YouTube is absolutely useless.
There's so much trash in this house.
Today I'm breaking down the worst advice that I've ever heard and what actually works instead. So without any further ado, let's dive in. Hey there, I'm Paige Turner. Welcome to the channel. Got multiple things to cover today, so let's just start at the top. I'm feeling fiery, I'm feeling feisty. It's been a rough week for me, so you're gonna see the claws come out as much as they ever come out for me.
If you're trying to scare me, it's not working.
I get a fair number of emails from so-called experts who talk about how the tags aren't right on my videos and offer to charge me an exorbitant rate to fix them for me. Their idea is that tags will boost my videos. People will often say tags are crucial for ranking, but the reality is that even YouTube admits that they barely matter except for misspellings. And basically, what happens is when you upload your video to YouTube, it gets processed by the algorithm, by YouTube's back-end computers. And it does a lot of things. You know, the auto-generated captions that can come on your videos. That is only possible because when you upload it, YouTube will analyze what's in your video and knows the rough script of your video. It gets a couple words wrong here and there, but it's close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades, as they say. And YouTube admits that they barely matter except for misspellings. Now, I didn't want to take YouTube's word for it because oftentimes what a platform says is fact and what actually happens with social media can be two different things. So newcomers to the channel don't know this about me, but I am relatively new to YouTube, having started here like last year and monetizing not one, but two channels within the first year I was on YouTube. But prior to that, for 7-8 years prior to that, I worked full-time as an online content creator in other media. I got my start initially through writing, first blog posts and then books. I've also done a lot of e-commerce with some friends of mine. I am a seasoned online professional, and I've worked in a number of platforms, not just YouTube, but Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even Tumblr, Patreon, Discord, all of them. Pretty much everything at this point. And I'm here to tell you that what a platform officially says and what happens sometimes are the same thing, but many times are not. So I ran some experiments myself with my channels and my uploads, and this is what I have found, okay, anecdotally, in the wild. On your first few uploads to a channel, so I'm talking maybe 1 to 3 videos, tagging it seems to be able to help YouTube find that first initial group of people to test your content against. But after that, it doesn't really seem to matter that much. I mean, that said, it doesn't really take that long, so I will often put a couple of basic ones on the video just because typey type just takes a minute. But it is not a huge game changer, I've found. It's kind of a wash, maybe a little bit beneficial when your channel is brand spanking new. Now, as you're doing this, you need to be careful and not put too many tags on it. Don't stuff it. You know what I'm talking about. If you've ever been on Amazon and you see the things that's like t-shirt, shirt, vest, garment, clothing. It's, you know, the product descriptions that have 1 million nouns in a row and 1 million adjectives. Yeah, don't be doing that on your video because if you put too much on there, if you put too many hashtags, if you act like a crazy person and it's not stuff that's represented, not only could it mean that your video is not recommended to the right people, YouTube could get really surly with you if it thinks that you're, you know, trying to game the system. So you need to be careful with this. And instead, spend some time on your title and your description. Your title is extremely important. I know a lot of people get super rabbit hole-y about thumbnails and they are important, but for small channels, titles matter even more than thumbnails. Usually the thumbnail stops the scroll. The title is what people read to figure out if they want to actually click and watch your video. I've actually done a whole other video on clickable titles that uses a lot of tactics that are very easy to help with that process. I'll link that. And crafting a good description can help as well. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do an episode on descriptions. I've done some mini experiments on that as well. I'd be happy to share my findings. Okay, so that's the first useless piece of YouTube advice. Here's the second. More uploads equals more growth. Okay, so this one was interesting because it makes a lot of intuitive sense. Now, with a lot of the advice I'm covering today, there's some truth to it. Every video is another opportunity for people to see your work, for it to become popular, for you to put something out there that could really resonate with people. That's the truthy part of it. And to be fair, YouTube likes consistency. It likes creators that show up and post regularly on a schedule. In my own experiments, I've found that for long form videos, which is primarily what I post, once a week works just fine. Twice a week worked well for me when I was trying to get my watch hours within that 12-month rolling period for monetization. But I'd heard from people that even more than that could be even more advantageous. And I actually did an experiment in which I posted a lot more often. Some people had reported that posting too much hurt their stats, and other people had said, well, that's because you're making bad videos. I bet your click-through rate and your average view duration tanked. So I was like, okay, well, I will try to post more often. I will do this, and I will make good videos while doing so. If I find that my click-through rate or my AVD are dropping, or if I'm getting some kind of objective sign that my viewers don't like the videos, I will stop. I will slow roll it. So I did a whole episode on this. I do the blow by blow. I talk about it. But what happened was I posted a lot more often, and YouTube actually penalized me. My CTR and AVD were actually really great. They were actually a little better than normal, but YouTube still cut my impressions, which means they weren't showing my thumbnails as much, even though I had more videos. They cut my thumbnails overall. It was really surprising and really counterintuitive. So what I learned from this is that YouTube doesn't just reward more uploads. It rewards great content, and as long as you're consistent, it doesn't really care as much about the quantity. And it's fine. Just keep it to once a week, maybe twice a week if you're really trying to get those watch hours. And instead, a better strategy is to focus on high quality videos rather than just increasing your frequency. Okay? So, I think I was almost penalized because even though my stats were the same, YouTube, I think, has some kind of protective mechanism. This is me just speculating. It makes me wonder if YouTube has a protective mechanism somewhere in its code where even if your videos are behaving just as well or even better quality-wise, if you try to shift things too quickly, it wouldn't work. Perhaps it would have worked better if I had gone from 2 videos a week to 3 videos a week.
Walk without rhythm, and we won't attract the worm.
Now let's talk about the next one. I have heard this one so much that it is taken basically as gospel in YouTube terms. And of all the stuff in this video today, this is probably the one I was most surprised to find that it completely worked differently when I actually went out there and tried it. And this is the practice of asking viewers to subscribe every time. I can't tell you how much. I've seen tons of videos by much bigger channels than me that are like, I did this one thing and it doubled my subscribers. And it's always asking, saying, hey, don't forget to subscribe. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. Well, as I mentioned before, I had 2 channels that were monetized within the first year of me being here on YouTube. The first was Our Moving Castle, my RV travel channel that I co-host with my husband, Justin. So on Our Moving Castle, we actually asked people to subscribe. We did those calls to action, both Justin and me. And here's the thing, we had a hard time picking up subscribers. We actually got up to our 4,000 watch hours a full 4 months before we got to 1K subscribers, which, by the way, is really odd. It usually works the other way around. And we were doing the calls to action. We were asking people to like, subscribe, comment, all those things. Doing it the best way we could, trying not to be a total downer. It was pretty organic. Didn't seem to matter. And the other thing is that we did it on some videos and not others, and we compared, and there was no benefit to asking for those things. And actually, it seemed like the videos that we asked them to subscribe had a worse subscriber ratio. So I thought that was very strange. And when I went into my Page Turner channel, this channel, I decided I would do something. I would never ask people to subscribe. I would never say the words, please subscribe to my video on the camera. Please like, please comment. I do ask questions and ask people to comment below, but I'm also genuinely curious. No CTAs for that. No blanket blah, 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 okay? And a curious thing happened. I got way more subscribers on this channel than the other channel. Like, for the same amount of traffic, my subscribe to view rate is much higher here. It is night and day. And I'm not sure quite what to make of this. I know that I personally find it annoying when people ask me to subscribe, and I know that I subscribe organically to the channels that I'm really excited about, whether or not they ever ask. I have found that sometimes having like an animated subscribe graphic, I'll show you guys one, where they kind of go click and a bell and all that, that sometimes that reminds me And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I probably should subscribe to this channel. There's some other channels, like some crafting and DIY maker channels, where people will have like little stickers on their equipment that say subscribe to the channel, things like that. That helps me visually. I find that being asked with the voice doesn't do any more. And frankly, what seems to work better for me is giving them a reason to subscribe. So ways you could do this is planning a series, or doing a pair of videos that have a cliffhanger in between, or mentioning another video you're going to do in the future on a compelling topic. Sometimes I'll do that combo where I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a video later on XYZ, and I will put the subscribe button up. That seems to help a little bit. I don't know. At the end of the day, the biggest reason is good content being watchable and people being genuinely excited. Again, I could not believe this when I did these experiments because it is such prevalent advice. And I feel like if I did a video that was like, do this to double your subscribers, and I said, hey, you should ask people to like and subscribe, I would get a huge amount of views on that. I'm not gonna do that because I don't believe that. That's not true, but I have seen that be such an easy topic for people to pick up viral views in this space. So it's very strange. I think people want it to make sense. You know, what I could do is I could have a co-host on, have a werewolf, and name him like and subscribe. Hey buddy, I could be like, this is my co-host, like and subscribe. And everybody be like, oh, subliminally. No, that's stupid, whatever. Let's see if this makes the cut. Paige, stick to your script. Do your job. All right, let's talk about one that got massively popular for a while and has mostly been debunked, but every now and then I have somebody asking me about it, and I wanted to set the record straight on it. And that is this notion that your file name for your actual video will help you rank with search engine optimization on the YouTube uploader. So this would be like if I had a video called YouTube Growth Hacks 2025, for example, and I wanted to upload it. People, for a long time, they believed that the file name mattered in the uploader. So the idea was that if I named it, the actual file, YouTube Growth Hacks 2025.mp4, that YouTube would understand the video better, it would get more views, potentially go viral because of the file name. And also, people took this to mean that if you were not naming your files correctly, that could be the reason why you're not getting any views on YouTube. It's been thoroughly debunked. People have done a number of experiments. I haven't messed around with this one too much. I tend to actually name my files pretty close to what I end up calling my videos, but part of that is because of my workflow. So I edit in Premiere Pro, and let me know if you want a video on my editing workflow, or if you want to watch me edit sometime, I'd be happy to show you. But essentially the way I do it is every single video has its own project folder. And within the project folder, I have different folders for different asset types like audio, video, etc. The project folders have to be named something. I always name the directory what I'm planning on naming the video, and then I go to Premiere Pro when I make a new project. I always call the project what I'm planning on naming the video, and then I go to export the file and I call it what I'm planning on naming the video. Every now and then I'll redo a title, either before or after upload, but the title is usually one of the first things I develop for a video. I pretty much keep that consistent. I have done a few experiments where I haven't, and it didn't make any difference. It doesn't seem to make a difference at all. And a lot of other people have also confirmed that it doesn't make any difference. YouTube cares more about the title in the actual uploading section and the title that gets displayed to the viewer. That's important, as well as the description and all of that. Like, no, the file name doesn't matter. The title and thumbnail matter most of all. And then maybe your description. Look, there's a lot of bad advice out there. And instead of wildly chasing every tip, sometimes it's better just to look at your analytics. And a lot of times you're just gonna learn by doing, trying, and seeing what happens. But yeah, that's the most useless YouTube advice I've ever heard. Got any other ones? Let me know. Anyway, it's been great talking to you as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.